Hello, this is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and we have a very outstanding program today. Our guest is Cindy Marlow and Marilou Camp from School Safety.
And John Brewer will be coming on a little later.
He'll be a little later. Marilou, can you tell us a little bit about what happened with your son and the public schools and the safety?
Sure, yes. Back shortly after the Parkland shooting in February of 2018, there was a national walkout planned for students, planned on March 14th. It was giving time for students to walk out for 15 minutes. Actually, I think it was for 17 minutes for each student that they had lost at the Parkland shooting. I was very concerned with that at the time. My son was in third grade. It was being talked about, all the students being able to walk out of their schools. My school principal asking them, please do not let my child walk out. It's not something that I'm comfortable with. I don't even want him aware of what's going on. It's just not something that a third grader should be involved with, or even really not a subject that even a third grader should even be aware about. So I received a response back from the principal stating that although they were not actively participating, JCPS, in the walkout, they could not prevent a student from walking out because it would infringe on their First Amendment right.
Third graders, First Amendment
third grade. Right. This is an elementary school. So there's kindergarten through fifth grade. Staff was not allowed to participate. So if the students were to walk out, there would be no staff with them. She did say she was preparing to have some type of supervision just in case it were to happen again. This is elementary school. So I sat on that for a little bit and just responded back to her the next day just saying, I just wanted to inform you that Brendan will not be in school that day. I was uncomfortable with the uncertainty of it. Granted, us as parents are responsible for talking to our children about these types of things, but again, it was not something I was ready to talk to my third grader. The fact that she would not respect my wishes as a parent and guaranteeing that she would keep my child safe inside the school. To me, anything could happen with, again, these are elementary school, minor children.
And she said she couldn't keep the child from going out if he wanted to.
Nope.
That's totally amazing to me.
For a third grader.
Yeah, that's a derelict to me, a duty of educator in the public school system. To think that even though they weren't, quote unquote, participating, they were still allowing a child to go out on a walk or a boycott or whatever on school time that you were supposed to be knowing your child is safe.
Correct. The national walkout. It was advertised everywhere. So in my mind, I'm thinking, who's going to be lurking? The whole country is going to be aware
that all these could be out looking for children.
Possibly with no supervision, because it'd be infringing on their rights. At the bottom of that page, it gives you a list of JCPS schools that actually participated, at least ones that they were aware of. I knew there was a slim chance that an elementary school would participate. The principal's uncertainty of, and the fact that she would not
be respectful
of my wishes.
That totally blows my mind. I think my child is going to your care, and you're saying you're not going to stop the child from going. That's like saying that a child don't want to stay in school today and want to walk around for a half-hour lunch outside the school grounds. Right. That's no different. They're going to allow that for his First Amendment rights over a protection, the school's protection of the child that you put in their care.
And the subject matter, granted, is something that I disagree with. However, it wouldn't have mattered to me what the subject was. For any reason, right. I don't think that children, minors, especially elementary school age, to be allowed to walk out.
The subject matter is immaterial.
Yeah, exactly. So that just prompted me to, man, I can't trust these people with my child. In light of all the things that are going around the country, I have to do something. So I started to do my research, talk to people, networking, and just was able to uncover myself and learn some things that are going on locally in our school district. I'm sure there's many others, but JCPS in general, with their lack of discipline, lack of accountability, students misbehaving, getting in trouble, even staff members, our children are not being protected, and neither are the staff. Nobody's being held accountable. Over the holiday, we were becoming aware there is a staff member. That person was alleged, suspected of communicating with a minor online or inappropriate reasons. We were able to do some research and found that that person had been moved from school to school in JCPS for concerns of and complaints of inappropriate behavior.
He wasn't fired.
No, he was moved. He's been employed with JCPS since 2017, and our school was the fourth school that he had been in.
Position.
He was a custodian. So he was in and out of classrooms, communicating with children on a daily basis. He was in and out of bathrooms as well. So that's just kind of scary to think that a person such as that being allowed to be around children, especially moved from school to school.
Because there's a problem with him if they need to get rid of you.
The media covered it a little bit. It was not like on the news, but they put it on Facebook and written some articles. And he, again, was not fired. He was transferred to another location
in Jefferson County.
But they said that he wouldn't be working around kids.
If he's a custodian, he's going to be, unless he does all his work after hours.
Regardless.
It's interesting how they'll protect this person to have an opportunity to be involved with the child, but yet they won't give you guarantee to protect your child from going outside to a walkout. That shows how deranged their mindset is.
As unfortunate as that was, fortunately, it got some of us parents fired up. Finally, I started to have a voice because of these couple of years, ever since, I guess it's getting close to 2 years because it was March of 2018 when this national walkout was. So finally, all of my research and networking has, started to come into fruition, and I was able to gain some support from parents. Or I have planned now a student safety forum.
Student Safety Forum.
Actually, school safety forum.
School
safety forum.
That's next Wednesday?
That's next Wednesday, the 29th.
At where?
The St. Matthew's Community Center. We are going to have a number of speakers to talk about some of the things that are going on in our district, as well as the state. Some of the focus will be on JCPS, but there's going to be some speakers there talking about our tax dollars, how they're being used in the education system. There'll be an economist there.
Is this on Thursday?
This is Wednesday, the 29th.
Wednesday the 29th.
Seems like the Tea Party is holding one on Thursday. Are you part of that too? They're going to host another safety school.
That's the one.
They're sponsoring it.
So it's on a Wednesday instead of their normal Thursday.
Yes.
Apparently.
Because they normally meet on the Thursday. I see what you're saying.
So this is completely separate.
That they're allowing it to happen, so they want to give you coverage or something. Promote it.
At 6:30.
6:30, St. Matthew's Community Center.
On Wednesday the 29th.
Wednesday the 29th. And the purpose of this is to make parents, the community, aware of some of these things that are going on so that they can start making a difference. We need to put pressure on the school board. There needs to be a presence at these board meetings. We will provide dates and times for the board meetings, as well as the district members that represent different parts of the town of JCPS. And there's also 3 for election this year. We want to put pressure on them to either make changes, but in the back of my mind, I don't know if I'm quite ready for that yet.
You're the perfect person.
When I get parents fired up, excited, not necessarily excited about what's going on, but excited about the potential of the change that we can make by putting pressure on the school board, threaten their reelection, and or possibly find a candidate to replace one of these 3. Chris Brady is one of them who has opposed several things that I think would be good for the school safety, including Senate bill that is currently at the state that just passed the Senate that would require SROs or student safety officers to carry firearms. He claimed.
What's he claim? Why would he not be for that?
Money is the big reason. He says there's not money for it, but also that just might not be a necessary item. I don't want to quote him 100%.
What do you think, John? John's incognito right now until we see him over here in a minute.
That's okay. What I think is, if I recall, Jefferson County was proposing their own school resource. They weren't hiring anybody from outside or whatever.
Well, this is separate. The state bill is separate from what JCPS wants to do. However, if this bill is passed, JCPS
They have to comply.
And that's one of their arguments. They want to leave it up to the schools, each individual school, to determine whether or not they want their SROs armed. and not be mandated by the state.
I can tell his head was willing. I want to hear what he's thinking.
My thoughts are actually that, unfortunately, the state knows better than our own local system. And sometimes our local system runs autonomously almost. I think in this instance, Senate Bill 8, what I know about it is one that we would support.
Well, I want to tell you, Mary Lou, when you told me this yesterday when we discussed on the phone, I was just dumbfounded. I think a principal would say to you as a parent, I cannot stop a child from going out.
Third grade.
Whether it's a gun walkout or, like you said, that was bad enough, but any issue, whatever it would be, maybe it could have been a transgender walkout. Who knows? You did support, you said?
I said, even if it was
Something you supported, right. So just once again, give us your appeal. Why is it so important for people to turn out who have children to promote safety meeting next Wednesday?
Well, because statement from the principal, even if it were coming from her personally, it's not just her. It's the school system, and they have policies and procedures that they have to follow, and pretty obvious that they're not super concerned about student safety with things such as that, and
allowing a third grader to go out on its own.
correct. Well, I mean, elementary school in general.
That blows my mind. Yeah.
They're too young. This forum that we're having on the 29th, I want to inform parents of what's going on, also making them aware that we need to start having a presence at the board meetings and putting pressure on the board members that are in their district. Like I said, threaten their reelection by, we need change. If you're not going to cooperate, then we can replace you. One of the, real quick, and just on the 14th of this month, there was an article in the Courier Journal after they had put out a survey last November and December regarding some changes that they wanted to make to the student assignment plan, which we can do a whole day on that.
We will have you come back then.
JCPS wants to eliminate exit programs for magnet and traditional schools. That means 1,000 students each year that they remove from the magnet programs. They're not performing academically, they're not performing behavior-wise, which leads to violence, not a safe environment. They sent out a survey and it came back that the majority of the parents oppose what they're trying to do. The heading of the article says, against opposition, JCPS is going to move forward with the change. So all of these parents that oppose what they're doing need to put pressure on the board. The magnet and traditional plan have pretty high standards. You have to keep certain grades, attendance, and behavior. And currently, they remove 1,000 students each year from those programs due to bad grades. JCPS wants to eliminate that, meaning they want to allow for those students to stay, to give them opportunity.
They don't meet up to the criteria, but that's okay.
For example, I have applied for a traditional school for my son to go to next year. They only allow 120 outside of their guides. That particular school exits 170 students each year. So that means that those 170 students get to stay, even though they didn't perform. No new ones can come in. So it would eliminate the whole program.
Exactly. Why not have it if they don't live up to expectations? There's no reason for it.
Survey, parents opposed this. They're against parents' opposition because there's no parent present at the board. The ultimate goal of this forum is to get parents involved.
Well, Mary Lou, we thank you very much for sharing that, and maybe we can get John in here and we
want to have her back for more detail schools, because our schools, how they're indoctrinating our children.
We're going to be able to show these videos. Now, John has gone down to Virginia to observe their pro-gun rally. The governor of Virginia said, it's going to be a big fight and a lot of drama and problems down there. And actually, John has taken footage. He went down there. When was that?
So that's on January 20th. It's on Monday.
This past Monday.
Yes. Best estimates that they had was 22,000.
22,000?
22,000.
I heard 30.
Could have been more because they weren't letting, people were coming down there armed, most of them.
And they didn't want to lose their arms.
And they didn't want to lose it. So they were kept outside of the perimeter. Any other time, that wouldn't have occurred.
I guess we got some.
You want to hear this?
from the pro-gun demonstration inside Capitol Square. Sheriff Scott Jenkins from Culpeper County, Virginia, spoke at the rally.
I will choose to deputize thousands of my citizens to see that they're able to keep their lawfully owned firearms and not be disarmed. We don't need gun registration. We don't need a one gun a month bill. None of those will impact the things that they hope that it will affect. All they're doing is restricting the rights of law-abiding citizens. And to say that a person should have a 10-round capacity magazine instead of a 15 is absolutely ridiculous. A person can go into a gun-free zone with 3 10-round magazines and slaughter 30 people the same as he could with 2 15-round magazines before law enforcement or a good guy with a gun could arrive there. So we need less gun-free zones, and we need more freedom to carry guns and defend themselves by our law-abiding citizens. Deal with the criminals accordingly. That's what we need more of.
Now, we saw obviously a lot of pressure with the rally today, huge show of support for the Second Amendment, also people coming from out of state. Do you think that'll have an effect on the legislature and the governor?
I think they are completely ignoring anything that is said today or any other day. They have their minds made up. Some would say some of them were bought and paid for by the liberal left and the overreach that we had from outside of the state pushing money to pump into the elections here this past year. We're seeing the results, the consequences of those elections. What they are doing is taking the first step to pushing Virginia back solidly red in the very near future. The first example will be when Trump is reelected by Virginia landslide because of just what we're seeing here today.
Is that it?
That is it. One thing, I don't know if you heard it or saw it, but he was one of the speakers. And he has promised to deputize thousands of people.
And he was the sheriff, a sheriff anyway.
A sheriff, Culpeper County. It's within his authority to actually deputize, like the Wild West. What they've done, we've talked about this for the last several weeks, what they've done is they have gun sanctuary counties. And they have over 95% maybe of the counties and some cities as well, affirming their constitutional rights. These people are actually voiding what the Virginia Constitution says, what the U.S. Constitution says, and they don't care. To tie in with what was said earlier,
Marilou,
they don't care. Give them a reason
To care.
They need to see that if they don't respond to the people, the citizens, then they can be shown the door.
we said before, it's been said that our Second Amendment right is what gives us all our
It
other
secures
rights.
our other rights.
So if they take away, that's what Hitler did, Mussolini, Stalin.
All of them. Venezuela, Chavez.
Once they get your gun, you have no rights.
What can you do? You can't protect
They
yourself.
come and pick you up in the middle of the night and you're never seen again.
And people think this is hyperbole. This is not. This is history around the world. This is not a fiction, fantasy, something in the year 50/50. This is what's happening now. Can you elaborate on Kentucky now? We've gotten a lot of sanctuary counties as well.
We actually have about 3/4 of the counties in Kentucky. So we're up to about 90 counties in Kentucky.
That's
Have a-
great.
Really good.
So that means if the state says we're going to take your guns, if you have a sanctuary county, Second Amendment sanctuary county, that means they cannot come and take your
Well, they're
guns.
not supposed to. Kind of like playing back on them, counteract when they say sanctuary cities for illegals. We're saying we're legal. You're not going to come get our guns. You have a sanctuary city for your illegal people. Come get this. Come get this gun. Is what we're saying. Because we have that right, and we're legal citizens, as
Yeah.
opposed to their sanctuary cities for illegal residents.
Which is actually constitutional.
Ours is constitutional. Theirs
Ours
is
is
not.
constitutional.
Because they just ignore the law and the Constitution that we want your gun just because we want your gun. Now, I think we ought to get back to what happened in Texas a couple of weeks ago.
One man stopped within 6 seconds
The perpetrator.
the perpetrator from killing all the rest. Who were killed within his 6 seconds. He shot, and
They gave their lives. They were armed too, but they gave their lives and to protect him, and then the other guy had the chance to get him before he could get the prisoner.
And if he hadn't been there with his gun, probably would have killed
Oh,
a lot
I
of
can't even
people
imagine.
in that
Yeah,
church.
the carnage, yeah. Mhm.
So the bottom line is a man with a gun, or even a woman with a gun for that matter, is protecting the lives of lots of people.
that's correct.
That having a gun is protecting lives. Because we got people today get into this a little later in a minute, but we've got people today that want to come and kill everybody unless you convert to Islam.
It's called terrorists, people. What kills me is they're targeting the wrong people. If they can use their energy, unfortunately, like they're doing to poor Trump there in impeachment, wasted months and months and months of stuff, and they could be stopping illegal immigration. They could be stopping all the different things that we need to work on in America, but instead they're working on a man that loves America.
Let's get into the rally that was in Frankfort.
Well, I thought you were talking about the gun rally.
Well, we only got 3 minutes left.
7. We go. Yeah.
That's what I say. Running out of time. See if we can play that other video.
Can we gravitate to why we're going to go into this because of the difference of they're trying to grab our gun?
There is a Muslim group called CAIR, and it's spelled CAIR. Just a few years ago, they are unindicted co-conspirators. There was a big, huge trial. They were funneling money to the terrorists of the Al-Qaeda. Why they particularly weren't able to take them completely out, why they weren't indicted, I can't give any answer on that. But I do know their funds were tracked from that organization.
They're a subdivision of Muslim Brotherhood,
Exactly.
which is a terrorist organization.
And has been so designated.
So we need to realize that these people that were at the Capitol 2 days ago or so that are part of a terrorist group, and yet the governor allowed them to come in, supported them.
You have any meeting, please do not sacrifice that. There is a town hall meeting which we are going to discuss that what next. It's not that we just come here, we meet few people, we raise some voice, we hear some protesters outside, and we just go home after eating lunch. No, this is the beginning of the legislative involvement. So what's next? What are the issues which are dear to us? What are the issues which we want to bring it? How we want to organize ourselves? What is the post-program feedback? And then learning from this program. So all these things we are going to discuss. So ending of this program does not mean end of the day. We still have a lot to go so that we'll make the maximum out of today.
We are not only to try to strive for our own interests. Yes, we want to look out for our interests, but God tells us that we should be concerned about the interests of everybody. We are not focused on ourselves solely. We are concerned about everybody. So we are concerned about Kentucky. And we have principles that guide us. One of those principles, to be advocates of justice. And we're learning. We're learning a lot right now. So this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Our goal ultimately is to bring our voice to this arena, to this house. And we develop a full legislative agenda. On the very top of that agenda is Josie Raymond's anti-bullying bill. It is discussed in committee, and then the next step, it is approved. And it comes out of committee and goes to the floor of the House or the Senate, and then it has to pass that. The Republican bill flew through the committee. It's already out of committee. It was approved, and now it's on the House floor. And so Josie Raymond pointed out that our strategy now is to make an amendment to combine her anti-bullying bill with the Republican anti-bullying bill. Our goal, and please follow us as we continue down this road, we want you to follow our actions and follow whether this bill will actually become law. It impacts us, especially us at CAIR Kentucky, because we became involved in an incident in Louisville where a sister in high school, a Syrian refugee, wearing hijab, was assaulted on the bus by two boys. It really scared her to death. And she refused to go back to school. Scared. And the school did not take steps to assure her that everything is going to be okay. And let us make our voice heard. My last point is this is the beginning. This is not a shot in the dark. This is the beginning of our involvement in our society. Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to invite Mr. Jason Nemes.
Jason Nemeth.
Let's listen to what Jason says. Let him say about the Kentucky bloodshed.
He is serving District 33 in House of Representatives. He is the chair of Judiciary, Public and Safety Committees. And he is so humble that accepted our offer to come and speak to us. And we are so humble to have him here. Thank you so much, Mr. Nemes. We are ready to hear your words of wisdom.
Well, I want to thank you for the invitation that Nora Shalash and Dr. Bagby extended to me. And also, I met a number of people in my district a few weeks ago. All four are here today, and I want to thank them for giving me this opportunity. I think it's an important day, and I want to start off by saying welcome to your capital. This is the inaugural Muslim Day in Frankfort, and I think it's a good day. I'm Catholic, and there was a time not too long ago when people who worship like me were not accepted in Kentucky. There were bloody battles trying to keep Catholics, my ancestors, from voting, and we overcame. I'm very happy about that. And I think today shows great progress in Kentucky. When I look around and I see all these beautiful faces from all over the Commonwealth of Kentucky, from Fulton County to Pike County, and most importantly, Mr. Dr. Bagby from Jefferson and Oldham counties.
That Jason Nemeth is a Republican who is supporting the terrorists having a meeting in our capital. Is that right?
He's not repudiating any of that. This is the camel's nose under the tent. When I worked at UPS, I had Muslim friends and everything that I talked to. They can be doctors even.
This is a terrorist organization meeting at the rotunda in the state capitol, and it only happened after
Governor Bevin left.
And then Brashear is the governor, and he opened the door to this terrorist organization to come in, use the facility.
And what I saw, things that they mentioned was that this is a national push. I think it was 23 states maybe. It's a coordinated strategy.
And I think it's very important. I want to read to you
that
we got off the Clarion Project, and this is the most important thing. We need to bring this up to the governor. We need to go to the governor, all of us, and talk to him. Bagby, his first name is Ian, I-H-L-A-N, Bagby. He is head of CAIR in Kentucky. Here's what he said. He was recorded saying, according to Clarion Project, ultimately we, in parentheses Muslims, can never be full citizens of this country because there is no way we can fully be committed to the institutions, ideologies of this country.
They don't want to be citizens.
What more can we say why we don't want them at our capital? That's
they just
why
want to take over.
They want to bring their ideologies. They're not saying it, but they want to bring their Sharia law.
Look at England or
and now it's
France or Scandinavian countries, and you can see that they've taken over the whole government. Okay, I think we're about out of time. God bless you. Thank John, Marilou, and Cindy. Tune in again next week for the rest of the news.